Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North East Non-League Show, sponsored by DJ Private Hire, Gateway Accountancy Services Limited, Elite Goalkeeper Academy, and Motivate. Tonight is another looking back with show. Tonight we're looking back with Ian Dixon. Ian, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
You're welcome. No, it's good to be here, definitely.
Like you say, Vars winning Northumberland Senior Cup, Northern Leagues, and I might say the managers and players that you've played with must have some cracking stories tonight.
Definitely. I've been getting a bit of grief from the WhatsApp group that I'm part of with Hetton Lions, but Gavin Cogden normally instigating the sort of the banter in the background and dropping time bombs for Adam Johnson normally to jump in and try to torture me as well, but it's all good. It's definitely all good.
No, I think that's the best thing about once you're putting on who's coming on the show. I think it's the banter on the Facebook, on the comments and stuff like that. It's always a good laugh building up to the shows we're looking forward to it.
There's definitely been a few on there. Leon Ryan, Colin, Rasha. You know, it's the usual suspect who was looking to just be the usual poisonous selves. Really, do you know what I
mean? But for yourself in football, I mean, where did the love for football start growing up?
Just like it's different now. I've just started. I've just stopped coaching. I've been coaching like for the last 10 years. My son's like 16, and the football is completely different. You've got like your clubs on a Saturday, Sunday. They're training 2 or 3 times a week, and then where we just started playing on the field when we were little. You know, there's no mobile phones. You just played with your dad. If you were lucky enough to get in the school team, so I started out I went to Farringham Primary School in Sunderland, which is a school in Sunderland, and we had 2 male teachers, Mr. Greenwell and Mr. Duke, and they ran the 2 football teams. There was 2 football teams, and I remember you got picked, and you got this like little like sort of shoestring bag with a red kit in. I remember running home, telling my dad when I was about 6 that I'd basically getting into the football team quite early, and basically my dad came and watched the first game was against Mill Hill. And basically it was just a load of kids running around after one ball, and I just ran around, tackled, got stuck in, and that's pretty much how the whole career went. Really, just ran around a bit, kept fit, and put a few tackles in. But no, that's where it came from. And my dad was a big Sunderland fan, and then I got picked for the primary schools team, which was like Sunderland boys at the time, and it just sort of went from there, really. And that was quite a big achievement when you were young, because you only play for Sunderland boys in your school team, and there was the odd Sunday teams, but it wasn't like the same as it is now. I mean, it's gone crazy now for girls and boys, you know.
Oh, that's mad, isn't it? We'll start with one competition, which is the Vars. As a player, we've had so many winners on, and people that's been mentioned the Vars in memories. I mean, how good is it to play? And kind of when it goes into one of those matches as the rounds are going on, what does it mean to a player like yourself, the Vars?
When I played for Whitley Bay, it was like I'd left Blythe and I went to Whitley Bay, and we sort of like we weren't as Bedlington were the best team in the league. They'd won the league about 5 years off the trot. They had a fantastic team with like Dean Gay, with John Milner up front, and we were like a lot. We had a lot of lads who'd left Bedlington, like a lot, Gary Middleton. And Bosey, and we ended up like sort of doing quite well in the cups, and we were on the fringes of like 3rd or 4th off top in the league. We weren't going to win the league, but we ended up stumbling on this 3 at the back with me, Danny Anderson and Locker, and Caffer in goal, Gary Middleton in front of and we just ended up doing well in the Vars. And it was always something when I played for Jar Roof, and that we just never got nowhere near like any like sort of like any like, and we just any of the proper rounds. So we ended up doing quite well in the Vars. Bedlington got knocked out, and we were like quite surprised because they were probably the favourites that year for the Vars. And Keith and Tony at the time, their manager, were obsessed with winning it. They weren't bothered about the Northern League in the end. They'd won it that many times. They were obsessed about winning it. And we just kept doing well in the competition. They got knocked out, and we just thought, wow, we've got a great chance of doing well if we can just get through these rounds, you know. But there were so many twists and turns in that 2002 year. It was just mental. I remember playing against Brigg, and we were getting beat 3-1 with about 15 minutes to go. I got sent off. Surprise! Me and Danny Anderson got sent off, so we were down to 9 men. And I think Ian Chandler, who was the manager of Whitley Bay, who went on to win like a lot of Vars with his team. scored 2 goals within about 5 minutes, and we got this draw to get the replay down. I think it must have been the quarterfinals or the last 16. I can't remember, and we ended up winning 3-0 down there, and it went from there. And we just managed to have this knack of in tight games just not letting a goal, not conceding a goal, and maybe pinching one, And we just had a really good, solid outfit under Andy. Andy Gowans was the manager, and it was just amazing. It was just an amazing run. And when you get the semi-finals, I like the semi-finals better than the final, because for me the final, it doesn't matter how big the occasion is. You're lucky to probably get 5,000 or 6,000 in a stadium that's probably catered to fill 50. So I mean, and it was a year when Wembley was knocked down as well. So that didn't take the shine off it for me, because I just wanted to win. I wanted to win the Vos, but it was at Villa Park when we won it. So I'm sure Adam will be on here and teaching them, telling us that they won it at Wembley. But the medal in the George is the same, so I'm not bothered. It is what it is. But it's fantastic. I mean, I used to always wind them up as well, like Leon. I used to wind them up when they hadn't won it. And then they won it 3 times. Do you know what I mean? So sort of like what, you know what I mean? So I remember when Leon won it and Adam. I went to watch down there, but then on the bus on the way back, their whole team was rang us and put us on loudspeaker, and we're just sort of laughing because they'd won it then. You know what I mean? So it was almost like, sod yeah, we've done it. And then Leon went to win it 3 times, so it just got boring in the end. You know what I mean? So. But it was it was good banter. But I loved the competition, and I loved the semi-finals because they were so compact, and playing at Whitley Beer's ground and Durham's ground, who we played in the semi-final. There was 3,500 there in them grounds. Just you could feel the crowd like 2-3 meters away from you.
No, exactly. I mean, like you say, the semi-finals against Durham and the 2 legs as well. That must have been a tense for both sides, and it must have been 2 cracking games.
It was, because you knew the lads as well. At the time, they had a really good team as well. I mean, they were really good. I mean, they had Dickie Ord playing at the back, who was still playing really, really well. I think they brought Gary Bennett in for that game, who played second midfield. Right. And they had Irvine and Brights on the wings as well. So they were a right threat. And they had Gavin Mudd and Walk Late. And they used to bring Mickey Taylor on for half an hour. It was just an absolute nightmare to play against. And Mickey had some cracking players, and they had I think they had a young Stevenson playing at the back as well with Dickie Ord, and they just Lakey, Mark Richards in goal, I think was in goal. Yeah. They just had a really good team, and I think we went 1-0 down in that first leg, and then we managed to win. We managed to win that game on the counter really, and we managed to concede 1 goal and win that first leg 2-1. And then when we went to their ground, it was just can we keep a clean sheet? And that's exactly what we did. But I remember when they brought Tony Healer on towards the end of the game, and he missed it. He missed a chance, coming across the box, and I think it was just. I looked at it and thought, oh, maybe it's meant to be this year. And it was just a great feeling getting to the final.
I mean, the final itself, 1-0 against Tiptree at Aston Villa Stadium as well. I mean, describe obviously when that whistle goes. I know, as you mentioned, it's a big ground. It doesn't feel as because not the fans filming it, but how's it as a player when that whistle goes? You won the Vars, go to get the trophy and everything.
Well, if Andy Gowans is watching, first of all, he needs to really have a word with himself about the strips, because the strips were far too big. I remember there were Loggy Talk strips, and it was. I mean, you're talking about a long time ago now, but that had our names on the back, which was a big thing. But then they've all got them now. Do you know what I mean? So, and he had I remember having the tape. The strips were that big that I had to tape the sleeves to me arms to stop them from flying about. I mean, people like Danny Anderson and Chan were all right because they were big geezers. You know what I mean? Where me and Locker were just flying away with these strips on, and but it was great because you play the national anthem, you come out with the mascots and that. You've got your family and your friends in the stadium. You're playing at a fantastic ground, but they're quite tense. The game was quite. The game was sort of probably not for the fan really, who wants to watch a really entertaining game. They were very cagey, tight, and it was and we had a really good goalkeeper in John Caffrey as well, and he was just. I mean, he didn't have to head the ball in the box. He just as a centre half, that's amazing when the ball just comes in, and he just shouts John's or Caffers, and he would just catch it. It was just me and Locker were who pride ourselves on being all right in the air, but we're only 5'9", 5'10". You know what I mean? So So he was just over the moon when he would come and catch it and just take the pressure right off, So, but he was a proper character, John. Just loved a pint as well, And I remember the night before the game, Andy said, "Right, you can have 1 pint with your tea, and that's it." And which was fine for us. I mean, I didn't even think the likes of me and Locker even had a drink. I don't think I did. But I went up to Gowan's room at about 6 o'clock, and I said, and it was, can you remember the off licenses at the time? Used to do 8 cans for a £5.
Oh, right. First
I don't know if you're too young, but anyway, they used to do 8 cans for a £5. And Kaffer's problem wasn't drinking. Kaffer's problem was sleep. So like he could drink like till the cows come home. I seen him not so long ago, and he still looks exactly the same. And so I knocked on Gowan's door, and I went, Andy, you need to let Kaffer have a few beers. Like I said, if you didn't let Kaffer have a few beers, he'll get to about 11 o'clock sober, and he'll jump out the window, and we'll not see him until about 6 o'clock in the morning. And we could be trying to like get a taxi and finding him in like anywhere. So Gowan's and Cam were like and saying, "Oh no, we can't let one." I went, "No, you can. You can let this one person do it. This one, nobody else will even say anything, because then we'll keep an eye on him. He'll drink his few cans in watching a movie or something, and we'll make sure he's in bed by 11." So we did that, and I think Cam went to the off license and got him a few beers, and he was up up with the Larks, and he was brilliant. And kept a clean sheet, and then we won it. But it was a bit bittersweet for me, because after about an hour, I went to like sort of head up, like it was like I was on the right, Danny was in the middle, and I went to head a ball like away from like out wide, sort of clear it down the line. And as I headed it, Danny came round and thought I wasn't going to get there, so he kicked the ball, but he missed the ball and kicked it straight in the face, and and I ended up. And he ended up picking us up, looking at us and going, "Oh no!" And you could see my eye was just completely split open. All my eyelid was ripped, and I had to go off after about an hour. And then Chris Neal came on, but it just shows you how good the squad was, though, because Chris came on and he had a really, really good game. They didn't miss me, because he just came on and played exactly the same role, and he was outstanding. So. But so what was bittersweet for me was good for Chris, I suppose, because Chris came on and played an hour as well, So, but I missed the celebration on the pitch, and I ended up coming back like at about 8 o'clock. Everyone was suited and booted, celebrating, and I just walked in like full of hell. And just give us my medal, and I just got my medal and went to my room and got like showered and stuff like that, and then I came back down and managed to calm down, and because I'd missed everything, but. Most important thing was the team won, and we won at the end of the day, and I got my medal, and that was it really, But it was a bit bittersweet at the end, but that's what happens with me. Everything happens. There's always something happens. If I win something, there's always like something gone wrong on the way to doing well for some reason.
Class. And any more Vars moments that stand out for yourself?
The year after, I'd had a brief spell at Gateshead, so I didn't really do that great there with Gary Gill and Steve Agnew, and then I went to Bedlington, signed for Bedlington, and I played for Bedlington for a couple of years, and we had a really good team. Probably not as successful as when like Gownsey and Warren Teasdale was at the back, and Booney and Bondi and Mickey Cross and John Milner up front, but we had a really good team. We had Chappie, we had Robbie Coburn, we had John Milner still playing, but he was playing more midfield. We had Gareth McAlinden, Sam Kitchen, Danny Anderson. We had a cracking team, and we got the semi-final, and I thought we were going to go all the way. We got Sudbury in the semi-finals, and it was absolutely rammed. And I was thinking, God, I was captain as well at Bedlington at the time. And we we were winning on aggregate. I think it was something like 3-2 with about a minute to go, and they got an equaliser 3-3. So it was 3-3 with about like a minute to go. We were there. I was thinking about, God, we're here. And it was funny because about 5 minutes before half time, I went up for a header, and John Milner went up for a header. Well, John Milner was just like unbelievable in the air. So we both went up. Bad communication, but we both went up for this header. And he must have thought I was an opposition player, and he just elbowed us, and he hit us in the temple and just completely knocked us out. And I can't remember anything about the game. I can't remember anything about the game other than my dad saying to us, "I haven't seen you pass the ball like that. Like, you were just unbelievable in the second half." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." It was a bit of a but as I say, I thought we were there. And Sudbury actually got to the final 3 years off the trot and never won it. But that was quite heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for Keith and Tony as well, because it just felt as though there was something in the air that year that we were really destined to do it, and we just that last minute, like that's football though, So and then they beat us on penalties. I think James Harmerson missed the last penalty, but fair play, he took it, and it could have been different, but it wasn't.
Good memories. But again, everyone that's been watching, thank you so much. Like I say, keep getting them comments in as well. Keep watching throughout the show. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and help the channel grow as much as we can. And on to Durham City now, in 2008, 2010, I know we've had a few players on from that team, and it's one of the main reasons I fell in love with non-league football, going down to watch Durham City, and obviously Northern League, Unibond winners at the time. And if that FA didn't stop at the time and said, right, you kind of go up on a 3G pitch, how far do you think that side could have went at that time?
Well, when me and Adam joined at the same time, we were at Spennymoor at the time, and I think Tommy English came to watch one of the games again. We were playing Red Star for Six, and me and Adam we played quite well. Adam was flying at the time for Spennymoor. He was like scoring like some worldies, like from halfway line, lobbing the keeper. I was just doing my usual thing, just running around, getting stuck in, being horrible. And I think Collins, he wanted Adam. I think Adam was flying at the time, and they asked me if I wanted to come as well. And Spennymoor were around about mid-table at the time. They were on the way up. Jason was the manager. I don't think Jason was very happy with us at the time when I wanted to leave, but I could just sense something with Durham, that they were like the players that they had.
Yeah.
To be honest, half of us was thinking, we're going to get in this team as well, because the team was flying as well, And like I said about stories but Adam joined anyway. And if you ask Adam how I joined, it was because it was somebody to keep Adam company in the car. So that's how Adam will say I joined Durham, to provide him lifts when he couldn't be bothered to drive. So anyway, I ended up coming with Adam to Durham. They were already top of the league. Concert were flying at the time as well. They had like a really young side with Matty Moffat just being an absolute nightmare, scoring loads of goals. And I played. I came for the first training session, and the training sessions were lethal. Just brilliant players: Lewis Dodds, Kappa, like Rasher, Tommy English. Just they were all really, really good. Craig Turns and goal. Richie Smith. They were just Bosey. They were just really, really good. Harra. I mean, if I miss anybody out, I'm sorry. It's just obviously, when you're talking to yourself. But I remember the first session was really a nightmare. So I goes in for the ball, and me and Louis Dodds are just bang at us, like sort of hitting each other, bang, 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 bang. And I turned around, and it was slippy. And I went to lay the ball off backwards, and Lewis has come in, his momentum's hit us, and his knees hit us in the calf. So I look around, and like normally if you get a dead leg, it's normally you can run it off, and then it's the next day it's gonna hit you, and then you'll be done for about 2 or 3 days, where you're like hobbling around, And I just thought, this is weird. This is like not right. So I went home, went to casualty. They didn't X-ray it. They said it's not broken. And then the next day I went to a drop-in centre, and it was broken. So I broke my leg in the first training session for Durham. But it wasn't like a really serious break. It was a hairline fracture of the tibia. So I was out about 6 weeks. And in that 6 weeks, I went to watch with a boot on, and I was like trying to keep myself fit in the gym, doing like the Stairmaster and the exercise bike and stuff, with a boot on. Because Hetton were doing really well at the time as well. I was playing with Hetton, and Hetton were doing flying in the All England as well. And I was out 6 weeks, come back, played my first game for Hetton. And Collins, he was a manager, and he used to watch Hetton's games. So I thought, well, that's a good way of me trying to get back in, but I just couldn't get back into the team because Bosey and Richie Smith, Kappa and Harrow were playing at the back with Turnsey and goal, and they were just lethal, like absolutely like flying. And they were just keeping clean sheets left, right, and centre. And it took us about 7 games to get in. I was getting like 10 minutes at the end of the game. You know what I mean? Like to like sort of come on, be a nuisance, keep it tight. If it was 2 or 3-0, not let a goal in. So I was just playing bit part, and it was doing me head in. But I couldn't really argue because the team was flying, you know. And unfortunately, that was just the way it was. And that was what Lee was like. To be fair, he was quite honest. And if you did well for him, didn't matter if you had a name, didn't matter what anybody else said. If you did well in that game for Lee, and Richie Pitt was the assistant, that was it. You were in. So it's just a basic case of waiting my turn. And I remember getting a call off Lee. And this was my first start, probably about 12 to 14 weeks after I joined, which was not what I'd envisaged in my head. I thought I'd get more games like earlier than that. And I remember Collinsy ringing us at about 12 o'clock on the game. It was a night-time game against Concert. Now, Concert had been the only team who turned Durham over before I joined. I think they beat Durham about 4-0 at home. And Matty Moffat had scored a hat-trick. And he was probably one of the hardest players to play against at the time. He was young, 23-year-old, scoring about 40 goals a season. And I'm 31 at the time, and just come back from a broken leg. And I remember Collinsy ringing us on the afternoon, saying, "Are you playing tonight? You starting?" And I was like, "Where's Bosie like?" And he went, "Oh, Bosie can't get away from work." I was like, "He's picked this one game, not to get away from work." I was like thinking to myself, right. And I was thinking, right, all right, so if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to do it the hard way. So I'd never hardly had many games. I had a few games for Hetton. I was a bit nervous, and just I remember I had quite a good game. Like with 1-4-1, Matty didn't score, which was bonus for me because it meant that me and Richie had done our job. Do you know what I mean? So and it was just me and Richie because Kappa and Hara spent more time in the opposition box than did at the back. So it was pretty much like me and Richie at the back. Lewis would sit in the middle, right? Rasha would sit next to Lewis and just ping it about all over. Lewis would just be like a man possessed, trying to win everything back. Tommy on the left, the Speedy. It was just Tofty. It was just I don't think Gav was there at the time. But it was just unbelievable, and we won that game. And then I never ever after that I never lost my place. It was and the year after I signed a contract for Durham, and I played about 32-year-olds, 33. I played like 32, 1 and 33. I played like something like 60 games that season, which I was like over the moon about because I was like up against like Lawsey, who joined at that point, and Richie Smith, who were like cracking defenders. And you know, if anybody had probably said before I joined, I'd be keeping them out the side at times, then probably would have said no. You know, I'm getting a bit too old, but I was just for some reason just clicked with Durham. You know, you look at like how people play football now, and how the kids are playing football. And I'm not comparing us to Man City like or anything like that. But I remember saying to Kappa, I remember warming up against the Concert game, and he said, Dickhead, he was like bang at it. He's only 23 at the time as well. And I'm thinking, I'm 31. I should be telling him what to do. You know, he's telling me what to do. And I'm going, Kappa, I'll be all right, man. I'm 31. You know, I'll deep me on way. And no. You'll not do it your way. You need to do it this way because we need to get the ball from you at the back straight away. So when you were playing for Durham, really, like when I'd been playing at the back for Whitley Beer in the past or Bedlington, Keith and Andy, you'd never get the ball from the back and roll the ball left from the. They just wouldn't be done. It was percentage football. Get the ball away. Where Hara, Rasha, Tommy, and Kappa, you had to go and make angles right on your own, right next to your own goalkeeper, like play risk football and just give it to them really quickly, you know. So I never give the ball away for about a year because I just used to give it to Kappa all the time. I used to have about 3 people on him. I used to give it to him anyway. He used to give it to Tommy. Tommy used to just come inside and then flip it back around the corner for Kappa just to run down. They were just unbelievable. And then when we got Gav Cogden and that in, and like Sean Bell, we only had 16 as well, you know. So like when I went to Spennymoor a couple of years later, they had like a squad of 20. It was like an achievement to get into 16. Like where Durham had 16 players, and if they had like there's a few times when Harry was injured, I had to play right back, where it was just literally old-fashioned right back, didn't pass the halfway line. It was just literally I would just sit there, do my defensive work, and just give it to Tofty or give it to Gav if Gav was playing there, you know. But no, it was a cracking season, and we just dominated the ball in possession, you know, and fortunately enough for Durham, there was just me and Lewis who were like really like running around like maniacs trying to get the ball back to give it to them lads, because they were just so gifted. They're like Titch, Matty Moffat, Adam, Tofty, Tommy English. They were just Kappa. They were just like amazing footballers, So I could do my job, win it in the air. Lewis could do his job, win it in the air. As soon as they get on the floor, give it to them. And then we had people like Sean Bell, who doesn't really get a mention, but Sean was like, if one of them midfielders got injured, he would come in. And Sean was a cracking player and went on to win the Vars with Mortworth, captain of them and that, So, no, we were excellent. Then we had the likes of Jimmy Farrell, who would come on and do a job. Stewie Morris, Dukesy. So, like we just had a cracking team with a real good atmosphere. I remember when the year we were like close to winning the Northern League, we said to Stewie Dawson, if we win the Northern League, will you pay for us to go to Magaluf? And he said yes, and this was about 2-3 months to go before. So part of him was thinking, well, I probably didn't want to pay the money to get them to Magaluf, but if we win them, I'll probably bit of pill to swallow. And we went to Magaluf 2 years off the chalk because we won the leagues, and then we sent it the year after at the beginning of the season. If we win the Unibond North, will you pay for Magaluf again? He paid for it the year after, to be fair, because we won it. But the year after, we were excellent all season, but we just started to slip the last couple of weeks of the season. And Blue Star were on like that about 8 or 9 games to catch up, and we end up thinking to ourselves, there's no way they're going to win all these games. And Skelmersdale were doing quite well as well, and we were flying. And I chose to have the last game of the season. We needed to win the last game of the season, and the league was ours. If a draw wasn't enough, and it would have went to Skelmersdale or Curzon Ashton. So there was 3 of us could have won it on the last game of the season, but it was in our hands. And I chose to have the worst game that I had in a Durham shirt in the last game of the season. We were 3-0 down at half time. And there was a centre forward he was rapid, but we beat Woodley Sports about 2 months ago, 5-0 at home. But I remember this lad got away from us with about a minute to go, and I thought, God, he's quick. I thought, and I'd never seen it all game. I managed to position myself well, and I thought, God, he's really quick. And anyway, when we played them at their place to win the league, he played and he scored 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, and he was just like absolute like lightning. And we were I think we were 3-0 down at half time, and Cap was having a right go at us, like sort of proper, like sort of like laying into us. And I thought, oh, Collins is going to take us off here. But I just said but he didn't. He was quite calmly, and he was saying like, look, if they can score 3, we can score 4. And I just said to Lawsy, who was playing at the back at the time, it wasn't Smithy. Smithy didn't start that game. Or not, Smithy did start that game, sorry. And I said to Smithy, I just said, Smithy, I'm going to have to like man mark this lad. Like, I can't give him any space. And if he gets past me, like, I'm going to have to foul him. I'm going to foul him. And if I want a yellow card, you're going to have to come round and sweep. So we ended up man marking him, which was not what we would have done all season. I just had to like go back to like proper primitive defending, better see if I could get us over the line, help us get us over the line, because I was having such a bad game in the first half. And I just ended up man marking this lad in the second half, and he didn't get a sniff, to be fair. And Richie was great by coming round and then just playing the ball out to the fullbacks and that. And Speedy just had like a game of his life and scored like a 15-minute hat-trick, and then Matty Moffat scored, and we won 4-3. And it was just to win it that way. It was you went through a whole set of emotions in one game. I don't know if you came down or not. If you can remember,
I was at home, but I remember someone was texting us at 3-0 half time. It was 3-1, 3-2, and then 3-3, and I couldn't believe it. I thought someone was just winding us up at the time. I remember the day well. Like it was brilliant.
It was just like a roller coaster of emotions. And as I say, I chose to have the worst first half of my whole Durham career, really. But it was great to win that, and the nights out afterwards were just unbelievable, you know. But then the year after, we ended up getting Paul Brayson in and a few other signings. We lost a couple as well. I had a bit of a hamstring injury at the start of the season, and the season didn't start great, but it was all right. But then I think Stewie pulled it, and then And then that was it. Really, it was a bit of a shame. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold, but no, Stewie pulled it, and then all the contracts got tore, and a lot of the lads, some of the lads went to Bedlington, and some of the lads went. Most of the lads went to Spennymoor.
Yeah.
And then I went to Spennymoor after that as well. You know, last of the season at Spennymoor, but I know like Kappa, Rasher, and Lewis and that they stayed for a while and were really successful there. You know, carried that on.
Oh, it was a massive shame. Like you say, a great set of players at the time. And going back now a bit early in your career, Ryan, 1994, and obviously Jarrah, the spell at Durham as well as young lads. I mean, coming through into non-league, what was it kind of like? And then back in them days, obviously, I know we've had people on even before them when they said that all players would kind of test you, see what you like them first kind of few games in the change room, the banter, how can you take? Was it like that back then as well?
I know. Well, it was just like how I played for Riot was like there was nowhere like what. When I was at school, I was always like, they used to have School of Excellences at the time. They didn't have academies, so I was at Sunderland all the way up until like 16, and then I never got like a YTS. So it was like, well, where do you go? And you play like, you're too young to play men's football.
Yeah.
And so you end up playing in like, I ended up playing in like a combination league for my dad's mate, really. I didn't know who to go to, so I ended up playing for Springboard in the under 18s league. And my dad was the bus driver, so I was 16 playing in this league. But then I just started to like fill out a bit, grow a bit, and I started like playing, like started like doing really well in that league, and it was, and I was about 17 and a half. I played a year and a half in that league, and then my dad was on a night out once and just basically said, I've bumped into this lad who's a nightclub bouncer in Hendon. He plays up front for Riot Collie Welfare, a lad called Davy Bruce, and he rocked hard, and he said that he said basically come along and see what you like. So I went along, and on the first training session there was a lad called Stephen Stewart, who was a really good footballer as well, and I used to go to school with Stephen. We grew up together, and so me and him played. Me and him joined the first pre-season training. Well, we were only like 17, going on 18, and we were fit. We didn't drink, and all the blokes, it was like there were like Mickey King was there. He'd been an ex-pro at York. Mickey Smith had been an ex-pro at Wimbledon, and they were a really good team, really. But they would come back like out of shape, like after the summer holidays. You know, they'd never done a thing. Where me and Stuart, were like flying. We're doing and we had a manager. We had two managers at the time called Alan Thompson. God rest his soul. He's no longer with us. And Ray Hartley was a really good guy. And they just were really, really good football people. They did it the right way. They were prepared. They had us fit. But me and Stuart, was so fit that they just played us wing backs. So we just ran up and down like dogs of war playing wing backs. And it was an eye opener because I didn't drink, and then suddenly you're going out on a Saturday and having a few beers on a Saturday with them lads, and it was just great. I loved it, but you used to have to pay a fight. You used to have to then you didn't get paid with that team. You used to have to pay a £5 a week just to pay just to make sure that the club could run, you know. But then every week you used to have to sell a card. Go around, sell a card, and get some money raised in, and it was just good. I really loved that 2 year. And what happened was Jarrah Roofing were probably the best team in the Weyside League, and they got promoted to the first division, to the second division of the Northern League. But they picked I sort of fell into playing at the back because I was quite quick when I was younger, and normally one player would score a lot of goals in every team. It would normally be like a goal scorer. So I used to do like a long man marking back in the days then. And I used to man mark, which probably did nothing for my technical ability as I got older. But I ended up doing a lot of that really, like marking and getting stuck in, really like sort of making it difficult for the opposition. And then when we played Jarrah, we beat them twice. And I used to play against this lad called Lee Young and did quite well against him. He scored a lot of goals. But the manager, Richie, picked us for the non-league, for the Weyside League 11 versus a Northern League 11. And I played against our children's ground. And I played up against a lad called Charlie Butler, who back in the day was like a really like quite a prolific goal scorer. He might have been, I don't know how old he was at the time, but he played up front for this league side. I scored off a corner and we won 1-0. Which was quite an achievement to play for Weyside League 11. But we had a good team. to beat a Northern League Select 11 at the time was quite a lot of Sinners players who were league champions at that point. So the manager, Richie, asked us after the end of the game if I got paid for writing. I said no. So he said, all right, then I'll give you 20 quid. And I ended up going to Jarrah, but in the second division of the Northern League. So they got promoted, and I went with them to the second division of the Northern League, which was an experience playing for Richie. Absolute great guy, but so crazy, it's just unreal.
Oh, that's some cracking stories. We've got a question coming. I think it might be a question on memory from Ben Ryan. How are you in any games where you lost your forward at a corner, and rose like a Viking and flick ahead into the far top corner?
This is so like overstretched on his behalf. So we playing against West Orton. He was playing for at the time, wasn't he? No. I've played with Ben, right? I've played with Ben for years for Hetton. Now I have never seen him win a header ever, right? Ever. He wouldn't even go for a header. So the likelihood of me marking Ben Ryan on a corner, right? Now these are the sort of players who I used to have to mark on corners, right? Granted, I'm not the tallest, so I'd have to mark Sam Kitchen when he played for Gateshead. I would mark Mark Irwin when he played for Towlaw, right? I'd mark Leon Ryan when he played for Whitley Bay, right? I'd mark all these players, and me and Brian Rowe, when I used to play with Brian, we weren't the tallest, but we used to block runs a lot. So we used to block runs. So basically, if you block a run, you can do it once, but if you block the run the second time, you're going to get smashed in the face, especially back in the day. It's not like now. Do you know what I mean? When there's like there's TCTV and cameras everywhere now, we wouldn't be able to get away with it now, but it was just brutal. And so basically, what happened was I'm marking a centre half. There'd probably been some centre half from West Auckland, and out of nowhere, I see he's got long hair at the time, Ben, and all I see him is jumping across about 3 players. He flicks this ball right. He doesn't score, so he's full of it there. He doesn't score. Hits the bar, lands down, and their centre forward tops it in. And granted, what he's missing out on the time as well. Do you know what the score was at the time as well? 7-2 to Bedlington to us, right? So and he's just dined out on this forever. But at the fair play to him, he did rise like a salmon. I wasn't marking him, and they did score for it, but he didn't put in the top corner. But he'd probably be chuckling like that now, telling everybody he did.
Class, man. And a spell at Blythe as well, obviously a big northeast Nulling side. How did you find your spell there?
Well, at the time I'd been at Durham, and Tony Harrison had left Durham to go with Mick Tate as his assistant manager at Blythe. And I was coming back from a bit of an injury then, so I hadn't played for Durham that season because I'd had a bad injury to my medial ligaments. So I rang Tony, asked him how it was doing, and I'd played quite well for the year before for Tony. I got Player of the Year. We won the Northern League second division. We got the final of the Durham Challenge Cup. Got beat off a good Bishop's team, Colin Richardson's team, and I rang Tony and just said I was going to Blythe, and he went and he was like, "How's your injury?" He went, "Do you want to come up training?" So I went up training my first training session, and the club captain was Mickey Farry. Well, Mick was a great player, and I get on great with Mick. So he's doing this keep ball session. And I just thought to myself, I need to get, Mick had never seen this player. So I was thinking, how do I get his attention? And I thought, right, I'm going to have to put something, and I knew he was hard, Mick, right? And I thought, because I'd heard about him, and I know he played about 900 league games. And I thought, well, how do I get in his good books on the first training session? Because all he's got to go off is I'm 21-year-old, and I'm basically, it's hoying it down. We're training behind the pitch at Croft Park. It's a step up as well, because I've been playing second division in the Northern League the year before. So they're about 5 leagues higher, 3 or 4 leagues higher. And with all these good players like Mickey Farry, like Willie Mort, they were just really good. Brian Rowe, Richie Pitt was there, Stephen Stewart was there, Glenn Robson. It was just a really good side, And I thought, right, I know he likes to tackle, so I'm gonna smash somebody. And just basically in the keep ball, I ended up sliding, tackling Mickey Farry. He went about 50 feet up in the air, landed on top of us, and then just punched us straight in the face. And it was just, and then we ended up having a bit of a scrap. It wasn't out really, it was just handbags really. But basically, we just ended up Mick Tate loved it. He absolutely loved it. And I just remember, this training session finished. Mickey Farry shook hands and said, "Look, I apologise. It was a bit late. He apologised for smacking us. I think I had claret coming down me nose." And Mick Tate just pulled us on the way out and said, "I haven't seen you play, but would you like to sign? And there's that. And would you be happy with that amount of money? And I just went, I didn't bother, and that was it. And I just signed from the date, and it was we struggled at the start under Mick. We weren't doing very well at all, but we just stumbled. We ended up like getting Andy Martin in. Ross Lumsden played at the back. We had Paddy Atkinson, Terry Burke in goal, and Mickey Farry. And then I played in like a holding role with Richie Pitts, Stephen Stewart, Brian Rowe, Willie Moore, Chan up front. I think Glenn had getting injured. He broke his leg. Stephen Stewart. We ended up like going on a bit of a run under Mick. In the last 10 games of the season, we were unbeaten. We beat Lee RMI, who'd won the league. So I was really optimistic for the year after that we were gonna, if he could keep that team together, with a few additions, we would do really well. But Mick got a job back with Darlington, I think, in the close season. Then we ended up getting John Charlton and Graham Clark being our managers, and a lot of lads left, and they brought a lot of young lads in from like academies, like who've been released from academies and stuff like that, like Sir Carl Pepper, Gary Innes, Stuart stayed, I stayed, Terry Burke stayed for a little while, and then Gilly came in. So we had a really young side, but it was a completely different side than the year before, where we started to put a run together. We were just basically happy to see if we could stay in that league. You know what I mean? That was the goal then. The money had been cut, and under John as well. John was very much like his dad as well, to play like percentage football. So it was well, we played under Mick. We played really good, like intricate passing football. I mean, I just basically had a 2-second rule. I had the ball for 2 seconds and pass it to somebody else, and then when it broke down, try to kind of get it back. But John was different. John and Clarky were different. They would literally bypass the midfield and then try to get set pieces and get corners and just basically if we lost the ball, get the ball back with our energy. Get the ball back high up it wasn't a problem losing the ball in their half. It was a problem losing the ball in ours. So when we lost the ball in their half, we had to like swarm them, and it was just basically hard. It was hard work to play for John and probably was like hard mentally, because you just never had the ball much, and you would just be like constantly in their half. I mean, they were successful at what they did as well, because they did keep us in it. We were a young team, probably with the lowest budget in the Unity One Premier League. Was a really hard league to stay in, you know. And Gateshead were a very good team, had a really good team, but we always like done well in the local derbies as well on Boxing Day against Gateshead. They had the likes of Bowie, who was younger then. He was like 26, flying. Young Sam Kitchen. They were just excellent, and but we matched them, you know. Especially, we didn't probably match them in the league standing. We probably finished mid-table, and they were always in the top 5 and that. But it was good. I enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. But as I say, after that, I went to Whitley, and then won the Vars, so I can't really complain where I went, you know, after that.
Oh, 100%. I'm just asking, hi mate, can you ask Ian how long it took to perfect the head and knee kick, please?
Who said that?
Adam Johnson.
What that one was, right? I remember going up to win a ball and it dropped too low. So I tried to win the ball in the air and it dropped too low. So it hit on the nose, rolled down me body, and then like it flicked off my knee and it done the job first. What was the ugliest piece of play you'd ever seen? But like, at the time we had a really good photographer. I can't remember who was doing it, but it was like at the time at Durham they were getting their like what are you talking about? 2008, 9, 10, that's all. They were starting to kick off with the websites and stuff like that, and the chats and the forums. But we had a really good photographer who took photographs of like all the different games, and Adam, the photographer, caught that, didn't he? He caught me doing that head and knee kick, and then I think Adam still got it kept. So in fact, he might not have it kept because he would have probably posted it on the and when you put the group, he would have rather wanted that on. But they did capture that photograph. I think he had it on his screensaver on his phone and that. Honestly, that lad will never stop slaughtering me till the day I'm gone. Honestly.
Class, man. We've got to chat about Spenny as well. Obviously, the spell in 2007 and back in 2011 as well. And we've had a few people that came on now also, and we're kind of looking at how far Spenny's now gone. At that time, could you see how far they were going to go in the club and the setup that they've got now?
Well, when I went to Spenny, Jason was the manager, young manager. He just started he was still a really good footballer, like, but he must have been about 37 at the time. And I used to remember when I went to Spennymoor, Adam was there as well. Adam had played a year, dropped a year down. He'd been playing for Gateshead, I think, Adam, and then Adam had went to Spennymoor. Obviously, money talks because he's the greediest man that ever lived. But, basically, he went to Spenny, and then I was obviously quite close to Adam and talking to Adam a lot, and he says, look, they're doing good things, like, and Brad and Jason got on really well, and I knew Brad and Jason through Hetton connection.
Yeah.
So I ended up talking to Jason and then signing, and you could tell they were just doing things right. They were cutting the pitch. They were doing the club out. They were starting to put a TV in the changing room. Lucasade bottles. It was just like I was thinking, Jesus, this is unbelievable. And so you could tell, but they probably didn't do that though with the TVs. That they did that the second time I came in terms of the ground, but first time I went there, they was definitely on the open. Jason's so competitive and wants to play football the right way, and it was only that Durham side that I would have left really for. But when I was at Spennymoor the first time, we were a good team, but they weren't at the level that team went to.
Yeah.
You know, and that are at now. But they were definitely on the up, and you know they've got to start somewhere. And what Brad and Jason done with Spennymoor was amazing when you think about what they achieved and still what they're doing now. I mean, they were struggling at the start of the season, and basically they managed to get themselves into a playoff position or very close anyway.
Yeah, doing really well there. And on Bishop Darcy, another two managers that's been on as well, and played up until an injury forced retirement at 37. I mean, what was it like them final few years playing? Did you feel the injuries coming on, and what was it like seeing the new blood that was coming through at that time?
Well, I left Spennymoor really because it was a bit of a fallout with Brad really, because I didn't get picked for the All England Cup final, and then I ended up, and I look back at that and think, oh God, that shouldn't have really happened really, because I enough about us to like sort of like, you know, we've been together for a long time with Hetton, and then we're building something at Spennymoor. So I should have, like, you know, regret that a little bit, but you know, that's who I was. I was hot on my sleeve, like sort of like, you know, volatile, like wouldn't always say the right thing, getting in people's faces. Sometimes even my teammates, they were sick of us. I was obsessed with trying to win, and I ended up leaving Spennymoor to go to Bedlington. Very short time at Bedlington, and then sort of dotted about a little bit. Didn't really like work out at Bedlington for a few months. Then I went to Jarufa for a few months, and Richie asked us to go to Jarufa for a few months, but like, and I said to him, whatever you do, I can't play centre midfield. Didn't play centre midfield, right? You need to play at the back. I've been playing at the back for the last 3 or 4 years, like doing really well for Durham and Spenny. Because Spennymoor won the league that year as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was vying for positions with Steve-O and Mesa. So I was in and out the side sometimes, but putting a few runs in as well. And but then when I went to see Richie in a car park, he went, I'll not play at the back. I'll not play centre midfield. And I never played centre half once for him. He played centre midfield like in 8 games, and the results weren't great. Ended up leaving Spenny, and Wayne Graziak texted us, who I knew just from playing against him, really, because he's a right handful. And I worked out that it was better to make friends with Wayne on the pitch than aggravate him, because I remember talking to Ian Watson once, and I was playing for Spennymoor against Bishops, and I was trying to kick lumps out of Graz. And the more I was kicking lumps out of them, the better he was playing. He was getting like, he was going on like, he was like, and I remember busting on the side going, didn't do that to him, So then I worked out it was better to be mates with him, and then because it was easy to get the ball off him if he was mates with him, because he wouldn't concentrate. And so then he was at Bishops, and they were struggling big style, and they were about like, I think they were second off bottom, and they weren't doing very well at all. But he just joined, and Philly Bromwell had just joined, so. It was basically Colin asked us to go for about the last 15 games, and it was basically how many points can we get. So it was completely different to what I've been used to at like Spennymoor and Durham, and like the teams I'd been at. It was like keeping a clean sheet was like the expectation in them teams, where we would have to probably win 4-3, 3-2. But we had some cracking results. Me and Phil Brumwell were about like, we used to call ourselves the combined age of 70, because we were like the combined age of like 72. We were both 36. 35, 36, and we were like playing at the back for Bishops. But we pulled some really, really good wins together. We beat Children, who were flying at the time, Dunstan, who were we really fought above our like sort of standard in terms of where we were. And Colin went on to do great after that, and then but I loved playing for Colin. Like he was excellent. Like I really liked him. He was a good lad.
A really good character. I know we had him at college. Some funny stories there as well. I think, but I always remember obviously the pen picks and obviously looking through the websites, and I just loved the non-league football. It was always hard work and heart on the sleeve. Hate to lose, which you mentioned here tonight as well, and obviously a hard tackler. Did you feel sometimes everyone kind of seen that there was pressure on that you had to go out there every game and put that kind of run, or did you live up to that?
The thing was, I was never like a sort of player who would bring the ball, who would like sort of start pinging the ball. I was always aware of my ability, and I was never the best player when I was in the Wayside League. But there were some players who just stayed in the Wayside League and just wanted to play in that league. I could always do the same job at a high level, the same job, if that makes sense. Didn't mean to say I was the best player at that league. I was never the best player. It was always about doing like a job for the team, and it was always about like being me. But some of the teams I played in, you couldn't get in if you're just kicking the ball out all the time. You know what I mean? You've got to understand your role. And when I was at Durham, it was a bit sad really, because I was 31, and the likes of Tommy and Kappa and that, and Rasha and that were like 22, 23, and Titch were like 23-year-olds, and I was thinking, God, I'm playing football at the back here, where you're just like, you're not giving the ball away because you've got that many people who want the ball. Where in some of the teams I played for, even good teams, you'd see the backs of the centre midfielders. You wouldn't see their faces, or you wouldn't see all these people wanting the ball. It was a case of who did I give the ball to in them Spennymoor and Durham and Hetton teams. So it was easy. You never give the ball away at the back because there was always an option on. The only time you ever kicked anywhere was when you were just trying to clear your lines under pressure, But so I was always aware that of my ability, and I was always aware that I tried to be fitter than everybody else, and I tried to make sure that when everybody else was resting, I was training, and I'd go for runs all the time. Even the day after games on the morning, like 3-mile recovery runs, I was always training all the time. And I just thought that gave me the edge, and it meant that I could maybe compete and like sort of outwork people who probably might have had a bit more technical ability than me, but probably didn't want to win more than me, or didn't want to run about and do the dirty side of stuff. But that's just what I built my football on, really,
Oh, brilliant. A couple of questions coming up from the comments as well. And finally, from ourselves before the quick fire round, from yourself starting, obviously playing in the Northern League through to finishing, what do you think was the biggest thing that changed for that period from the start to the end of it?
The biggest thing for me was when I first came into the Northern League, you would be in a physical battle with centre forwards. So you'd mark people like John Outhwaite, you'd mark people like Nicky Gray, Neil Hickson. I mean, these are lads who were like coming to the end as I'm coming through. So you used to they were never going to run in behind you. They were all going to try to pin you. They were all going to try to. So the key was with them not to get too tight.
Yeah.
Because someone like Dean Gibb would just stick his arm out and just smash you in the nose. John Outhwaite smash you in the, people. And then what happened was a change. You got a lot of lads getting released from academies and stuff like that who were like running behind you a lot. So, but what I found, if you ever marking someone like Gav Congdon, which I was lucky enough to play on the teams with Gav, so I didn't play against him too many times. But I used to think to myself, right, then I'm gonna go tight with him. I'm not going to because if you give Gav space, he'll just absolutely destroy you because he's so quick. It doesn't matter how quick you are; he's quicker than you. So you kind of you wouldn't even give him a yard. And so I used to then say to myself, even though I might have had a bit of pace when I was younger, which obviously fades as you get older anyway, and then you're just relying upon your body position. But the thing is, I used to always think to myself, with quick players, get tight. Don't give them a chance to turn, and then you'll always make it a physical battle with them, and then. But it's easier said than done with someone like that likes a Gavin and Matty Moffat too. But to be fair to Gavin could be naughty. Like Gavin can put his weight about. To be fair, he's definitely can be naughty. But Matty's not. Someone like Matty Moffat would just rapid, hard to play against, good in the air. Just you used to have to be on your A game, even if they scored one. But people like Paul Chow as well. They were hard. They were different types of players. Matty Moffat, Adam Johnson, Paul Chow. Paul Chow, you're not seeing him for like 90 minutes. So frustrating. And then you got who scored? Oh, Chowie got 2. Chowie got 1. It was just so annoying because he was just prolific, you know. Little sparky for Whitley Bay. That's what changed, in my opinion. The centre forwards changed massively, and then obviously you look at it now, and the way the young ones are playing now, and the teams are playing now, everyone's trying to play it properly from the back, and it's great. It's great to see. Definitely.
Very good. In time for a quick fire round with a couple of questions at the end as well from Stuart Brightwell and Adam Johnson in the comments as well. But this one now we'll go for 5 questions that we ask every player that comes on. Quick fire. So number 1, who would be the best manager you would say you worked under and why?
I feel a bit guilty here. I feel a bit bad. I know Grovesy will be thinking, "What about me?" But he was a Sunday manager, Grovesy. Do you know what I mean? And even if it was Jason Ainsley, I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't even say it was him. But I would probably say I love playing for Collinsy because Collinsy doesn't get enough credit really for bringing all them players together, and he let the players sort it out themselves. Like he had Richie Pitt who could be quite nasty, which was like good cop bad cop, and he had the nous to get all them players together, and he let them get on with it. Like Rasha, we've done a lot of work behind the scenes getting players in, and because he's the busiest man that ever lived, and then he let us have our say, and then it wasn't really a big tactical thing either. It was just our training sessions were just basically warm up, do a little keep ball session, and then we'll all just play against each other, like 7, 8 side, 8 on 8, 9 on 9. And you just knew on a Saturday that you weren't going to play against, you might be more Adam Johnson or Matty Moffat or Titch up front, you know what I mean? Like Tofty were in that, yeah. And then Tommy English, can't get the ball off him, do you know what I mean? Capper like bombing on up against it with Lewis. So that was a really good management style. I thought of just like, and even when we were getting by 3-0 off time against Woodley with all the season's work gone to tatters, he never really panicked. He just says, "Well, come on, we just need to get 1 goal back, and then we're back in it." And so I really think Lee, just for what we achieved, but that's not taking any away from like Mick Tate.
Yeah,
I didn't play long enough for Mick Tate, but I love Mick. I loved Andy Gowans. It was great. It was a really good guy. Colin, but I'd have to say Lee, just because that style suited me. I didn't need any more pressure putting on myself than I already put on myself. Certainly didn't need Lee to come in and roast me really, because I would do that myself, you know.
That's it. Number 2, the best teammate that you played with and why? Millions.
The best team. Yeah. Oh God, it's too hard. It's too hard. All the Hetton lads who were in the WhatsApp group, I just loved them all. Like Jason, Matty Hyson. There's too many sort because I don't want to name people. Probably Adam Johnson, just because you wouldn't think that if you look at the WhatsApp group, because we just torture each other the whole way. But probably Adam and the likes of Ben and Titch, but it's too difficult to choose from. But there's too many, like even like Leon and Shieldsy, but. It's just, and sorry if I missed anybody out. There's just too many. There's just some great lads, but I'm still in touch with Titch, still in touch with Adam and the lads on the WhatsApp group. So yeah, but I feel a bit disingenuous there saying any specific names, but probably Adam.
And number 3, I think Stuart's asked 2 questions. I think this is one of them as well. Who would be the best opposition player that you played against and why?
The best opposition player I'd played against.
Yeah.
Probably, can you remember a lad who used to play for Sheffield United called Tony Agon?
Yes.
I played against him once. He was absolutely amazing. Still really good. Probably, I played against a lad called Ian Bogie, who played centre midfield. She couldn't get the ball off him when I was about 25. We went about the whole game. I don't think I even touched the ball. Gav Cogden. Probably Gav. I'd say probably Gavin, because I've seen him play. I've seen what he can do. Like how he's never been given a chance to play with Sunderland.
Crazy, isn't it?
Him and James. The 2 names that stand out for me who should have played for Sunderland, in my opinion. And there's a lot, but I could name a lot more than this. But the two main is probably James Curtis and Gav. I just can't understand how we had a 6'5" centre half playing non-league football out of his skin for Gator when he was a kid, who didn't get a chance to play for Sunderland, and Gav, who basically on his day, even a prime Rio Ferdinand, I would put me money on him running past him, and you know, putting him to the sword. But it's unfair. Football's unfair.
And number 4, your best footballing moment.
Probably winning that league with Durham in going up into another league, and winning that Unibond North Division. I loved that season. It was just unbelievable. And but I loved the Vars and the All England Cups on a Sunday. They were amazing. So as I get to say, feel a bit disingenuous, like sort of feel a bit guilty picking it. It's like choosing like which kids you love the most, which one of your children you love the most. But I would probably say that really, like, I'm really fond of that. Really like that. That's the one that I think of when you asked us that question straight away.
Excellent. We'll come back to number 5 in a moment. But going to Stewie Brightwell's question, obviously we mentioned about the best player played against. What would you say the best team that you played in throughout your career?
Best team I've played in. Is that Saturday and Sunday?
Go for both, eh? Aye.
I would say, I'm gonna get tortured here on the WhatsApp. I would probably say there's not much to choose from between I'll probably say the Durham team. The Durham team in that won the Northern League and then won the Unibond League. I think that would probably be the best team I'd played in. However, it's really tight with the Hetton Lions teams I played in as well. Like, they were just so good. I mean, you couldn't, but because some of the same players played in the same team. See, so it's difficult. It's difficult to pick. Do you know what I mean? Because for that reason, so it will be difficult to like sort of for them to play against each other as well. Because like some of them players, six of them ish played for Hetton as well. So, but both teams were unbelievable. But I'd probably just say Durham slightly. Probably get loads of grief for this.
I always laugh when Hetton's mentioned because I was playing, I think, with Sherman at the time, Lampton Arms, and I always remember you always have 20, 25 lads turn up every game, and then it was always that fixture, oh, who we got next week, Hetton Lions. I'll be standing outside the pub and there'll be 8 or 9 turning up. Couldn't even get like a tear out. It was just like, oh, we used to look forward to me, like, it used to be class.
But I remember playing against a Brandon team that had Gavin Mudd, Johnny, and they were like quite good team, but they were a proper Sunday morning team, like full of young lads, local lads. I think we won about 16-0. Like, but it was 1-0 at half time. We won some games. We won some games like ridiculous scorelines. But what I will say, sorry, what I will say about the players, what nobody knows, is that there's some of them games where you're on your knees, right? Some of them, and you've only got the bare 11, even for Hetton. And the more successful you are throughout the season, so if you're doing well in the Vos, which a lot of the Hetton players were, and you're doing well in the All England Cup games are on the Sunday, and the FA Vos games are on the Saturday. Yeah. So you could be travelling to Birmingham or London, and then coming back and playing them games on a Sunday as well. And then you've got a game again on a Tuesday. Well, Hetton used to play Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday for the last 10 weeks of the season. So you'd be on your knees, you'd be injured, you'd be blistered. Some of the games we were getting beat off like teams like off teams 2-1 with like 10 minutes to go and would win. But the team had a great character, never say a die attitude. So it was just unreal. Sorry, I forgot the question. I'm getting carried away with myself.
No, I was just saying about when we used to play the Hetton teams, and you see the squadron just outside the pub waiting for everyone to pass the tournament.
I mean, sometimes you could name 2 teams and play the games against each other, and some of the lads who didn't get into the team were just unreal. I mean, when I played in the first 2 Sunday Cup finals, and to be honest, it's a selfish sport, and you're basically just waiting for your own name getting called out. You know what I mean? And you're lucky enough to get in that 11 at Anfield, and then you really understand like how important your teammates were when you didn't get in the team as well for the 3rd time. So then you start thinking to yourself, well, God, we had other lads who played a lot of contribution to that run, and we wouldn't have won it without them either. And I played in quite a lot of games in that third run, but I didn't play. And it's only when you finish that you appreciate your teammates more. And I wish I probably appreciated the lads even more when I played. If I had my time to go again, I would. I wish I could do it all over again and be the same lad, but be a bit different in terms of how much you really appreciate them lads who don't make the teams in the final, or are injured for the finals, or they miss out, or they're just unlucky through injury in general. I remember like a lad called Michael Canavan, who was a great player, constantly injured all the time, and you look back and it's a selfish sport. You're thinking about yourself quite a lot in that moment, and it's only when you finish you think, oh God, they were like good players, like you didn't really need appreciating.
Isn't it? Nice comment from Team Music 91. Some played to get top for me when I was a young lad at Bishop as well. Nice comment coming in there. I think Adam Johnson was just mentioned when he said it was his favourite player. He said he's not that you're not his favourite player. And I don't know if this one might go in for our number 5 question. But we're going to ask what was the funniest football in the moment. But he's asking a story about Spider-Man. I don't know if this comes into it.
I would probably like Spider-Man. The Spider-Man story comes about because, again, John Caffrey. John Caffrey was our goalkeeper for Hetton in the first. Hetton had for years had been trying to. Brad was obsessed with All England Cup. He was obsessed with it, and we'd won the league, we won the County Cup and stuff like that for Hetton. That was a given really for Brad, and he wanted to win the All England Cup, and we always fell a little bit short, like quarters, finals, and we fell a bit short. But then we got like an influx of players. We got like Leon, we got Roy Allen, we got Adam, Ben Ryan. Myself had been there a little while longer than everybody else. So and then we got this team together, and then we got to the final of the All England Cup. Caffrey in goal, and then got down to the Hilton. Brad never does things by halves. Made sure that we got down, put the bus on, all expenses paid, do things the right way. Go down there for on the Saturday. Get down there Saturday afternoon, tea time, spread on. 1 pint, get to bed. But the management team were allowed to stay up. So nice. Brad's clever. He would be giving the lads pint. If I'd stayed up, he'd have been, there's a pint ticker, there's a pint ticker, there's a pint ticker. And I would have had 7 or 8 pints getting to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. He wouldn't have picked us for the Sunday. So I knew I'd get to bed at 10 o'clock. Keep out of his way. Keep out of his way. I want Brad anywhere near me after 10 o'clock. Do you know what I mean? I want to be in bed, chilling out. And but Cuffer, being Cuffer, like going back to the giving him 8 cans and locking him in his room would have been the right thing to do. But Cuffer decided to stay out with Reggie and Brad and Stewie Gooden and basically stay out. And basically he's got this story where he used to take the mick out one of the lads who started crying when he got injured, and Caffrey used to shout at him, "It'll be all right tonight. Your dad'll tuck you in and give you a cup of tea and put your Spider-Man jammers on." So we used to call him Spider-Man. Well, unbeknown to us, he's got a little at the time as a little boy, and he had a Spider-Man mask and Spider-Man gloves. So Caffrey's having a few beers. This is the night before the All England Cup final. He's our goalkeeper. Craig Shields is our number 2 goalkeeper at this point. But Craig Shields, sensible goalkeeper, is getting to bed early. He's in bed by 9 o'clock. Craig, you know what I mean? He's in now. Him and Ben with the Horlicks reading Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter book, and then this hen night have booked this conference suite, and Cuffer's at the bar, and this last comes out of this boring hen do where they're having a meal, and it's all a bit tame, and Cuffer's like asking this girl at the bar, "What you up to?" and she's gone, "Oh, I'm at this hen do, it's in there, it needs a bit livening up." And Cuffer says, "What was that like?" He said, "Oh, it's boring." So Cuffer's like, "Well, give 5 minutes." He said, he says, "I'll knock on the door." He says, and when you, it says, and ask the DJ, because I had a little DJ on a dance floor, but just all lasses, there was no lads there. So Cuffer like popped his head in and said, "Right, get them to play Spider-Man." So that song, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Right, so when that came on, he just runs in with a Spider-Man mask. He's got no clothes on, right? He's got no clothes on, right? He's not the most well-endowed lad either, Cuffer, even though he's a big geezer. and he's got Spider-Man masks on, Spider-Man gloves on, and he's just on the. And one of the lads took a video, and needless to say, Caffer didn't play the final the next day, and Craig Shields was there. So what a story! But that was John. I would tell you, so it'd have to be an X-rated YouTube show for me to tell you some of the stories about John. But what a character! Absolute great lad.
Class, man. Was that your funniest football moment, or was that just coming in there?
It's one of the funniest football moments. There's too many to put us. There's too many. There's too many to think of, but that's definitely one of them. But the humour is just. I mean, I do miss playing, but I miss the humour. And you put me into them as well. You put me into the lads, and it's like you've never been away. That's the biggest compliment I can give to them, and they rib me. They absolutely torture me, but I know deep down they love us really. But they wouldn't say that, but I know it.
Oh, brilliant. But Dixon, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Some great memories, and still loads watching now. So thank you everyone for watching as well. Please subscribe if you haven't already. But like you said, thank you very much for coming on and sharing all your memories with us.
No worries. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for asking us. It's good little trip down memory lane. Thank you.
Excellent. But again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night as well.
Take care.